Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, what's up, Vegas? Happy Monday. The Vegas Take back at you. Sharp and Shapiro, glad you could join us. Oh, yeah, a lot to get to. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Speaking of a lot to get to, yes, Michael Avenatti will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. A lot of questions for him. Can the president file a suit against Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff? We'll ask him that and much more coming up in a little bit. Also, Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Can he go to jail for this? Yeah, that and much more. Michael Avenatti will be joining us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Also, a lot to get to in hour number 3. Of course, the Major League Baseball playoffs. A little bit, I guess you could say, controversy at the end of that Yankees game last night. A lot to get to in the Major League Baseball playoffs. UNLV football with a nice win over the weekend. My co-host, J.D. Sharp, has showed up, graced us with his presence. Mr. Sharp, thank you for being here. How was your weekend?
Well, I had...
Why are you out of breath, by the way? Oh, maybe it's because you just rushed up the stairs. Is that why? Is that why?
I had a decent weekend, Brian. How was yours?
My weekend was fantastic.
Why is that?
I know you don't care, but it was fantastic.
I do. Of course I care.
No, you don't care about me.
Why would I not care?
No, because if you cared about me, you wouldn't show up in the middle of the segment. I know you don't care about me. You don't care about your co-host. Just say it on the air and I'll respect you. Just say, Brian, I don't care about you.
Brian, I definitely care about you. And how was your weekend?
That's such a lie. You're such a liar. Anyway, my weekend was great, but nobody else cares. Maybe you're the only one in Vegas that cares. But anyway, we'll talk about our weekends a little bit later. But a lot to get to today, as I said. Michael Avenatti coming up at the bottom of the hour. A lot to get to with this Tyler Skaggs thing. Controversy that someone in the Angels organization was actually popping him the pills that ended up killing him. We'll get to that much, much more. So the organization possibly knew what was going on there. We'll get to that coming up here in a little bit. But, we talk a lot about, this Dallas shooting where you had this former police officer, this woman who killed an African-American in this apartment that she thought was hers. She got 10 years in prison. We talk a lot, and I always say that the majority of police officers are good people, but I also say in the instances where police officers commit heinous crimes or murder, they need to get the book thrown at them. And I think that does not happen on a regular basis in the history of this country, that when a police officer does do wrong and commit a crime, there's a cover-up. I don't think there's a cover-up in this case that I'm going to talk about, but this is a perfect situation of an officer killing an innocent person, just happened to be a white officer killing an African-American. I don't know if that was part of the reason why this happened, but I'll explain. The community is going crazy in Dallas once again. A shooting happened early Saturday of a woman by the name of Ataliana Jefferson. This is less than 2 weeks after this Amber Geiger story. Police released 2 minutes of body camera footage of this Fort Worth shooting where it appears as though a 911 call was made. And in that 911 call, a woman in that home, one of her neighbors, calls 911. So let's hear this 911
I'm
call.
calling about my neighbor.
What's going on there?
Well, the front doors have been open since 10 o'clock, and I haven't seen anybody moving around. It's not normal for them to have both of the doors open this time of night.
Okay, so listen, if I had a neighbor like that, I wouldn't be angry at them. If my door was open for a long period of time and my neighbor calls 911, I would say, thank you for looking out for me. I appreciate that. I don't think the neighbor did anything wrong. I don't think the neighbor did anything wrong at all. So what happens? The police show up, and instead of knocking on the open door or saying, hey, police, that's exactly what does not happen. In the body camera footage, the unidentified officer, only identified as a white man who has been in the force for about 18 months, shoots one bullet through a window, seeing this poor woman looking through the window. Again, her name is Atatiana Jefferson. It happens within a second or two. He says, put your hands up, and shoots her. Now, she did have a gun in the apartment, but there's no evidence that she pointed the gun at the officer or anything like that. All she did was look through her window. He fires one bullet. She's dead. Make no mistake about it, this is murder. Is it premeditated murder? I don't think so, but I want more information. All this woman was doing was sitting inside of her home looking through a window, and now she is dead. And her father is saying she was trying to save up money for medical school. This is a good woman who never got in trouble, and this is one of those situations where sadly, a police officer kills an innocent woman, and it's murder. And this is one of those spots where not only could this man never be a police officer again, I hope he goes to jail for a very long time, and I hope he goes to jail longer than Amber Geiger. And I also want to know a little bit more about his history. Has he said any negative things about African Americans? Because if race was a factor here at all, put him in jail the rest of his life. But at the very least, this guy needs to go to jail for a very, very, very long time. And it's bad. It's bad for law enforcement. It makes other police officers look bad, where we have a white officer killing an innocent African-American woman, and the evidence is overwhelming based on body camera footage that, something needs to be done immediately. And this is one of those cases, and it's being talked about all over the place on national news. Right now being talked about both on Fox News and CNN, this very case that we are talking about right now on the show. And this could be worse than Ferguson, because it has to be, because in Ferguson we really didn't know what happened, right? This hands up, don't shoot narrative was a lie. It was a fake narrative. This is not a fake narrative. Make no mistake about it. This police officer shot this woman, this innocent woman, for no reason based on the body camera footage. The man didn't follow proper protocol. This was a welfare call. The neighbor called police. You just heard the 911 call. The neighbor called police saying that her door was open. I've left my door open plenty of times. And if the police came, I would hope Metro Police would knock on the door and say, hey, everything's okay, and they would leave. I would hope I wouldn't get shot through a window. This is just awful. I feel terrible for her family and friends. This is a terrible, terrible situation, and it breaks my heart to hear from her father. It breaks my heart. Father's name is Marquise Jefferson, and this is her father in his own words.
I mean, it's senseless. My daughter was 28 years old, had her whole life in front of her.
Yeah, she absolutely did, and now he's going on to talk a little bit about the neighbor in this situation, why he doesn't blame the neighbor.
And I don't have nothing against the neighbor. I mean, hey, if he sees something going over that house with my daughter, you need to call the police. You know what I'm saying? But it's the way the police acted. You got to know that there's somebody's daughter. Somebody loved her. And it was a better way. It didn't have to be like that.
I feel horrible for him. I feel horrible for this family. This is one of those situations, while it is rare, in my personal opinion, where we have white police officers gunning down African Americans for no reason. That is very rare. Usually there is a reason. In this case, there is no reason. In these types of situations, these officers, you need to throw the book at them. And I believe in this specific situation, that is going to happen. At least, gosh, I hope so. 10 years is not enough here. The Amber Geiger case is a different case. You can make the argument that 10 years wasn't enough, and that's fine. I don't necessarily disagree. This guy needs to go to jail for, in my personal opinion, probably the rest of his life. I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm going to tell you right now, if they only give this guy, this bastard 10 years, there's going to be an uproar in that city. There's going to be an uproar. So they have to give him, they have to throw the book at him here. Right now, there is a live press conference going on with this woman's family. It's being, pretty much aired on every network right now. And I can't imagine the sorrow and the pain that this family is going through. We're going to continue to monitor this story, but I'm going to tell you right now, based on all the evidence that has been put out there with the body camera footage, this officer murdered this woman. This is murder. Make no mistake about it. Absolute murder. Unless we have 100% proof that this woman was pointing a gun at the officers, which there isn't, then you cannot justify this shooting. It absolutely 150% cannot be justified.
And
150%.
The only thing that makes sense to me possibly is that maybe the officer accidentally shot his gun. If we find out something along those lines happened.
I don't know. We'll have to continue to monitor it. What I can tell you right now is I want to hear from Tatiana Jefferson. She's I believe she is the sister of the woman who lost her life. This is a live press conference right now, and we're gonna air it for you right now. Here it is.
walk the Fair Park. My sister, the relationship she has with my sons is undescribable. Sometimes people think that they're her kids and not mine. She helped Zion every day to get ready for school because my mother wasn't capable of doing it. She wrote out a schedule so that he could be organized. She helped him understand that he had to be responsible for putting on his clothes, picking out his clothes, and getting ready on time to leave for the day. Those were things that my mom did for him. So she helped him become more independent.
I just want to
and self-sufficient.
I want to break in here real quickly. How the hell has this officer not been arrested yet?
My son.
That's what I want to know. Pop that down for a second. How the hell has this officer not been arrested yet? If this was you or me that shot somebody through a window, we would be arrested. We would be behind bars right now. And this is what bothers me about law enforcement. How has this police officer not been arrested? I see the headline right now. They're asking for the officer's arrest. It has been a couple days now. Now, you tell me, guys, what would happen if I decided to go to a house and shoot somebody through a window and there was overwhelming evidence that I pulled the trigger and that woman was doing nothing wrong? How long do you think it would take police to arrest me? I'd probably be arrested that night. So I want to make that very clear. This officer has not been arrested yet. If this officer isn't arrested by the end of the day, something wrong is going on at that police department. Let's go back to the press conference.
And these are the things I should be doing for him, but he's not reacting in that manner. He's helping me to be strong. And I believe that's because my sister had a big part in that.
The next person that you're going to hear from, she's prepared a statement. I'm going to allow her to come around. Her name is Ashley Carr, and she'll be the older sister.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ashley Carr. I was Tatiana Jefferson's oldest sister. I'm here to read a statement for the family so that we can all be on one accord. An arc of a moral universe is a long one, but it bends towards justice. Martin Luther King. Our family first would like to thank the thousands who called, who sent messages, who reached out via social media, offering words of encouragement and condolences. We appreciate your powerful solitude with us as we go through this unbelievable time of shock and sorrow. Secondly, our family would like you to know more about this beautiful soul of Tatiana Jefferson. She was a smart, ambitious, kind person with a nurturing spirit. She was a graduate of Xavier University with a Bachelor's of Science degree in mathematics, that's me, in biology, and was committed to furthering her education. She was a hard worker where her co-workers saw her as a person of full integrity. She loved her family so much that at the age of 28, she decided to move into our mother's home to help her as her health was declining. Honor, integrity, commitment, and service. These are the attributes of Tatiana Jefferson. Any parent would be proud to call her a daughter. Any sibling would be proud to call her a sister. Any employer would be proud to call her an employee.
So as you can see, we're hearing all these wonderful things about this poor woman who lost her life at the hands of a police officer, a white police officer who decided to shoot one bullet through a window on a welfare call. And we get the picture with this grieving family, what they're saying, that this woman was a hard worker, that she was saving up money for medical school, that she did all the right things. This is a woman who did all the right things. How has this police officer not been arrested yet? Based on the body camera footage alone, how is he not arrested? That's what I want to know. We say it all the time, and I mean it when I say this. The majority of police officers are heroes. The majority of police officers are good people. I truly believe that because I see it. But in these instances where a police officer, in my opinion, is a murderer, this might not be premeditated murder, but it's murder. The book needs to be thrown at the officer. This shouldn't even be about money. Let's talk about money later for the family. This should be about accountability. This man needs to go to jail. He should be in jail right now. How he's not in jail and how he hasn't been arrested by now is what bothers me about law enforcement. And I hope there's no cover-up. They released the body camera footage, and I commend them for that. I believe the reason why they released the body camera footage because they know he's guilty. Why else would they release the body camera footage within 24 hours, right? Am I right? They released it within 24 hours. That is like almost unheard of. And I believe the reason why they released that body camera footage is because they know that it's indefensible. That's probably why they did that. Now, this needs to happen fast. And here's what I mean by that. This woman just lost her life. Innocent woman, good, hardworking woman. You heard her family speaking. This man needs to be arrested now. Charges need to be filed now. And this needs to be expedited quickly and swiftly for the family, for the community, and for any taxpayer out there that if you have a police officer like this that is on the streets with an itchy trigger finger that executes and kills an innocent woman, not only do they need to be off the streets immediately, they need to be put behind bars because they're a danger to society. You trust this guy, this police officer? Would you trust him as just a regular Samaritan on the streets? I certainly wouldn't. We see this happen rarely. And what I mean by that is, no, I don't think that police officers are just executing people left and right, innocent people. It does happen. It's rare. But in these rare instances, I've said it before, I'll say it again, you have to throw the book at these police officers. And it does seem to me, in our history, when we've seen cases like this, we haven't necessarily had all this evidence. We didn't have the body camera footage. But it seems to me in some of these cases, they are lenient because they are police officers. That needs to stop. We understand being a police officer is a very dangerous job. We understand that it's a very risky job to take. We understand that you have to deal with scum of the earth every day. But with that being said, that's your choice that you made. Nobody forced you to be a police officer.
Do you think that if the police officer was black and the person that was shot was white, that the police officer would be in custody currently and arrested?
That's a good question. I really don't know the answer to that. It's impossible for me to guess. See, here's my problem with this. I don't know if this officer was a racist. I don't know if he has a history of being a racist. Now, if he does, for example, let's just say, I don't know, he's caught on audio saying the N-word to one of his friends or something like that. Then I would look at you and I would say, you know what? Race was obviously a factor here. But, JD, I don't know. I don't know anything about his. You're asking me if an African-American shot, someone in a house who was white. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I would hope that African-American officer would be treated the same way.
I'm thinking that the details of the case or the situation just aren't really ironed out yet. So her face appeared in the window.
Yes.
He let out one shot. He happened to hit her just square. Where did he hit her? The chest, the heart? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. I know she's dead. She died instantly.
Okay,
she was pronounced dead at the scene.
So we'll assume that it's.
I saw the video footage.
It was the head of the chest. I mean, he could have just been scared by her face randomly. The
That's
shot.
not an excuse to pull the trigger.
I'm not suggesting that it's an excuse at all. But that's what could have happened. Something along those lines could have taken place.
If you're a police officer and you're scared of a woman looking out her window and you fire a bullet, you should never be a police officer.
And it was what, 9 p.m., 10 p.m.?
Why? First of all, why is his gun even out? Why is his gun even out?
And her hands were up?
No, I don't know about whether her hands were up or not. Why would her hands be up? She just looked out the window.
She looked out the window.
Yeah.
She didn't have her hands up.
No.
He just, for some reason, his gun is out.
Listen.
He shoots into the window, murders her. And apparently there was a gun in the house. Is it possible that during the call that someone mentioned a gun during the house?
Didn't hear that in the 911 call. All that we heard in the 911 call is that her door was open. little suspicious because her door usually isn't open for a long period of time. The neighbor calls 911. And, you know, from then on there, it's pretty basic. It's pretty simple.
She was the only person there.
Here's the 911 call. We'll play it really quickly. Here's the 911 call from the
I'm
neighbor.
calling about my neighbor.
What's going on there?
Well, the front doors have been open since 10 o'clock, and I haven't seen anybody moving around. It's not normal for them to have both of the doors open this time of night.
Okay, first of all, the neighbor said nothing about a gun. I don't blame the neighbor for doing that. It sounds to me like the neighbor was being a good Samaritan.
Right.
I would want my neighbor to do the same thing for me. So we got to take a break. But I'm going to tell you right now, JD, more information is going to come out in the coming days. We're going to be talking about this case, continuing to talk about the case, and I hope that justice, I mean, there's never going to be justice. This woman lost her life.
Well,
she did nothing wrong.
As of now, it just doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense why a police officer would have a gun out for no reason.
Unless he's a murderer.
Exactly.
Unless he's a piece of garbage
and
murderer.
take a shot
which
into
I
a
think he
window
is. Yeah.
with an innocent person.
All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, Michael Avenatti will be joining us. Plenty to go over the week's news with him in regard to Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, of course, the president, Donald Trump. We'll get to Michael Avenatti coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take.